We are live now. I'm also recording. Cool. Sick. What is up, everybody? Hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome.
Hello and welcome back to the Milo's Music Podcast.
We are officially live now. This is episode 2 of what we like to call, well, of awesomeness, I will say. We're now gonna move. Well, my name's Adam. This is such a butchered intro. I do apologize, but this is not the first time we've done this, so it's fine. Anyway, we have guests today. A band hailing from the ever wonderful North Carolina called Forever We Roam, and let's get them in and introduce themselves.
Yeah, I'll go first. I guess I'm the most valuable, I guess some people say, so that's absolutely not true.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what? Yeah, I'm Aiden Moyer. I'm the drummer. I'm from North Carolina. I'm also from the same place they're from. I'm also in the same room they're in as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. This is no green screen effect, guys. This is no green screen effect. This is
Yeah, they're
real.
actually here in person. This is the real deal, guys. You got them.
Alrighty.
Oh, good God. And then we have, who do we have next?
Who do we have? Me? I'm Alex Lauren, the guitarist for Forever Roam. Obviously, also based out of North Carolina, in which I'm also from as well, in North Carolina, words. And that is it.
But what do you play?
What do I play? I believe I already said that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And last but not least,
I'm JT. I play guitar and I sing in the band Forever We Roam. And I'm actually not from North Carolina, so you were wrong about that.
Oh no! Oh no! The betrayal.
the curveball.
Yeah, you're from Florida boy.
Miami.
Yeah, but I'm from Connecticut, but I moved here at a very young age. So I've grown up in North Carolina, and that's where I started the band. And so I'm very thankful to have at least had some time here in North Carolina so that I've met these wonderful gentlemen and gotten to play some music together. And we've got a couple of albums out. We're working on another album coming out this summer that we're really excited about. And yeah, that's a short introduction for us.
Right.
Alright, cool. So we do have a interview coming on now. A couple line of questions for you lovely gentlemen. To start it off, if you guys don't mind going one by one, what got you guys into music?
I guess I'll go first. I've always been, I've always liked music, but I never really listened to anything on my own or anything. Till one day I just decided to play Roblox, and
As you.
and this one guy drove upside down like in a car like past me, and he was like blasting some song, and I was like, oh, I want to hear that, so I opened YouTube. Because you'd have to pay to play that song in the game, and I wasn't going to pay Roblox. So, I went on YouTube and I found the song and I listened to it and I kept playing, and then it autoplayed a 21 Pilots song, and I was like, whoa, that's a good song, and that's when I started listening to music, and I just started listening to them a lot, and then kind of got inspired by their drummer to start drumming, and like started listening to bands like Bring Me the Horizon, which have kind of taken over my entire music taste. Well, no.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I believe if you look on our website, it lists his influences as Bring Me the Horizon, BMTH, and Ollie Sykes, the singer of Bring Me the Horizon.
That's fair.
What a fun. We should use our bios as our intro thing to us. I love those bios. So good.
Alright, Alex, do you want to?
So, kind of the same with Aiden as, like, I've always liked music, obviously. Like, I didn't really start kind of just listening to music on my own until, like, I had my school computer, which had Spotify capabilities on it, and so at that point, I just listened to whatever was popular, and it was just whatever pop or rap at the time, everyone was listening to. And then, like, I kind of just realized a lot of my friends were listening to rock mostly, and I originally had a prejudice against rock for no reason at all. And then one day I was just like, I'm gonna listen to rock because I want to see what it's about. And then I guess the rest is history. It was just I just listened to rock from that day on. I didn't look back. I essentially kind of went into like heavier and heavier stuff. Like originally, my the bands I probably listened to the most were AC/DC, Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, just very simple classic rock like that. And I progressively got into like more heavier stuff. I eventually got like huge into Metallica, and some of the other like big four thrash metal bands like Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax. And then just kind of kept going on and on, expanding my music tastes, heavier stuff, even lighter stuff. Like I'm into some pretty heavy stuff right now, but I'm actually kind of backtracking at the moment and going. I'm really getting into Breaking Benjamin at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect band.
And now it's a lot more encompassed. I also listen to not just rock. I've been trying to get into hip hop more recently, just because I found I actually do like that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's essentially how I kind of got into music.
Okay. So JT, before you go, I do have to interject for one quick moment. It has been requested to tell you guys, the boys, that you are lame, and that message does hail from Michaela.
They fucking knew, boys. Hey, Michaela, how you doing, Don? I hope you're well.
I don't, but we do.
I hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day.
All right. Moving past that small interjection, JT.
So I started listening to music because my parents took me to my first concert at the ripe old age of 7. I was brought to, believe it or not, my roots are in country. My dad took me to a Brad Paisley concert, and I saw him up there playing a Fender Telecaster, and I was like, that is the coolest man I've ever seen. So the next day I went to Walmart, got this little toy guitar, got some lessons from a local friend, and he ended up teaching me for the next 10 years. And it just kind of progressed from there. So I started with country, what my parents mostly listened to. Then I got introduced to classic rock because there was that whole country into Leonard Skinner, which is like the middle ground into classic rock. And so then I got into classic rock, really Bon Jovi. I was big into Bon Jovi. Then from there I got into 2000s scene music like Paramore, My Chemical Romance, Pierce the Veil, all the big like early 2000s scene bands. And it kind of went into all kinds of different genres of metal, pop, hip hop, anything. I listen to a lot, but I've been really big on mathcore lately. That's
all right.
All right, and
Awesome. JT, I could really, I really feel you on that because back home I started listening to music with country, what my parents listened to a lot, and it just branched out to I as well listen to so many different genres of music.
Oh yeah.
So I feel for you there. I get it.
Yeah.
that's for sure. Absolutely, Michaela. We would love to have you on another time. Definitely. We'd love to have you on. We'd love to have all you guys on if this goes well.
Yeah.
I'm loving it so far.
That'd be amazing.
Alright. Okay. Alright. JT, I feel like you're the best person to ask about this. What are the origins of Forever We Roam? How did it come about?
So Forever We Roam was really never meant to be serious. It started out with me and my best friend in middle school, and we were pretty much the only musicians that I knew at my school. And so she played piano, I played guitar, little bit of drums. I was just starting to venture into drums. And so we were just messing around one day and we were like super, super bored. So we just started screwing around on instruments, writing music. And then we came up with one song, Insanity, from our first EP, and it was the song called Insanity. And we were like, hold up, this is actually kind of cool. We should record this. So we got our other friend, who was a couple years ahead of us in school, about the only other guitarist we knew at the school, and we just wrote a couple more songs, recorded an EP out of my bedroom pretty much, and we thought that would be the end of it. We thought we were just gonna write this little EP, release it for fun, and then just leave it as a party story. Like, hey, remember that time back in middle school when we recorded an EP? Yeah, what a time. But then the opening song on Beige Couch, Nerve, got streamed in like 30 different countries in just a couple weeks. And so we were like, we have to get a follow-up going. So we wrote what is now self-titled, and then we had lots of lineup changes. That's about the time that we added on Alex and Aiden. The best friend ended up leaving, and we got Michaela in as the singer. And we recorded self-titled, which was a really, really interesting session because that was right at the beginning of COVID. So we recorded all of it in my garage out of like a quarantine studio. And if you go on our Instagram and just scroll down a little bit, you can see that we recorded in essentially a giant pillow fort in my garage for like sound dampening and everything. I just took a big tent and covered it in blankets and pillows. And then after self-titled, we kind of had to have this conversation, like, we're not the band that we were at the beginning of Beige Couch. I'm the only person that was involved during Beige Couch.
Yeah.
We're not the band that we were during self-titled because that was written before most of us were even in the band. What are we? And so we kind of had to have this conversation of like, what are our current influences? What kind of music do we want to be playing? What is truly our passion and our sound? And we ended up deciding on more of a riffier, heavy sound. And so we have this next album coming out this summer that is a lot more riffy, a lot more complex. It's just better. It's all around better, and it's the music that we want to be playing. We're really excited about it. We got Lynn, our new bassist, just a couple months ago. She's been really helping out with this new album. And she's bringing in some violin and piano expertise to the album.
Okay.
As well as a third vocalist. So we've got Michaela as our lead vocalist. We've got me on backup vocals, and now we have Lynn on backup vocals as well. So we're a full band now. We've got the album going out soon, and I think we finally hit our stride. And that's just a brief history of the band.
Wow.
I personally really intrigued to see the incorporation of violin and piano. That makes me very excited.
Yeah. There actually won't be any piano. We had a song that was going to be all piano, but we ended up just deciding to save it for a future release.
Okay.
There will be some orchestral elements, though. So not just violin, but there will also be cello, viola, upright bass, and harp.
Okay.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Wow, that's really intriguing. I'm really excited to see and, listen to, what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we're excited to show it to you.
I can't wait for it. I've been following you guys for like a couple of months now, I think, and needless to say, I'm very hyped for this next album that you guys have got in the works. Like looking back on like all your self-titled work, and then obviously Beige Couch and everything, and seeing that journey that you guys have, and now where you're going in terms of metalcore and all that kind of stuff, it's really exciting to me. Really exciting to me. Okay.
So you guys kind of touched on this question that I'm about to ask in the beginning. I just want to if you guys could, a little bit more in-depth description, but what, very as specific as you can get, what kind of music inspires you guys to keep playing and have that drive for music.
Bring me the horizon.
Alex?
I mean, you got the mouse there.
I just love how they went from making, in retrospect it is good, but at the time awful music, to somewhat less awful music. They just made bad music at the start, and it just kind of got more refined and stuff, and then they kind of changed their sound, and with every album there is at least a little bit of a difference, but most of the time it's a huge difference from each album. and that's like just them always doing something new, and constantly like changing is like been really cool to me, and I'm like, I kind of want to do that. Also, 21 Pilots, but their newest stuff is kind of disappointing me.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say if I had to just generally say like my top 3 bands like of all time, they would be Metallica, Gojira, and Slipknot. And I've kind of all gathered different sort of inspirations and things from each of them. For example, Metallica, at the time, they were definitely trendsetters. Like, obviously, they kind of led the whole thrash metal thing in the 80s and, you know, grew to become possibly the biggest metal band in the world. And, you know, that always really inspired me, just how they, you know, obviously, you know, they just started just like us. They were playing local gigs at, you know, I think Los Angeles is where they were based out of. You know, just kind of showing off a completely new and different sound that eventually grew into something that, you know, anybody in the world could probably recognize. So I always loved that. There were always a lot of interesting, not exactly progressive, but just different elements that they would add for each album that shows they were evolving and changing, and to some extent, you know, really trying to, you know, push the boundaries of like, you know, what music is capable of. Again, at least at the time, because, you know, this is the 80s, so.
Say anger, right?
Yes, we don't talk about that. But anyway, that was a bit too experimental. But yeah, and then like for I'd say for Gojira, they have just a sound I believe is completely 100% unmatched for any band on this earth. They are just a very natural driving force in music. I don't know how they do it, but just there's something so primal about like their sounds that it's something that makes music very magical to me, and I really strive to make music magical, I would say.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I don't think I have much to say about Slipknot, other than just like I like them.
That's fair.
That's mid.
They've definitely evolved a lot over the years, easily. Like their first 2 albums are just pure, unbridled rage and aggression, and then they sort of, I would say they got a bit more, I guess, just musical in general with their next few albums, because before it was all just, you know, really low tuned, chugging new metal stuff and excessive screaming. And then, you know, they tried to refine their sound as they became not depressed, I suppose. Essentially their first 2 albums.
We're no longer
And
depressed.
like, with the recent album, I absolutely just fell in love with, because it's like there are a lot of elements in there that are very experimental and very different from what they usually do, but at the same time still staying to their roots. So like that really inspired me, because again, it's that whole like pushing the envelope of like, you know, what can we do, or like what can music do, and like how can we express what we feel into this this outlet, and, you know, share it with the world. So yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
I find that with my writing, I tend to stagnate very quickly if I'm not constantly finding new things that inspire me. So for Beige Couch, it was The Strokes and Green Day, and I was very inspired by them at the time because it was just a sound that I hadn't heard before. For Self-Titled, it was The Wonder Years and Movements, and they were just, they had been, I still absolutely love The Wonder Years and Movements and pretty much everything that they do. The new Movements album was like wonderful. And then for this new album, it branched out a whole lot more, and so I can't really pinpoint one band or artist that is really driving it, but more recently with my writing, it's been Happy Hour, because they have this really interesting way of combining hip-hop with heavier metalcore influences, and Happy Hour is one of my favorite bands right now. Spirit Box, because they're metalcore, but there's just something so unique about it, and it's so strong. Yeah, I mean, Spirit Box is amazing. I discovered them back when they released their song "Blessed Be," and it was just a revelation. And Ice Nine Kills. I've been listening to a lot of Ice Nine Kills lately.
Fuck
They're
yeah.
pretty awesome.
Beautiful.
But that's kind of what's been inspiring me recently. I just have to be finding new things because I don't like to stagnate. I'm kind of the opposite of predicting Benjamin in that sense, because Benjamin himself has come out and said, like, I don't feel like we have to reinvent the wheel with our music because we have a sound and it works and we're sticking to it. I'm kind of the opposite because I like to constantly be getting new influences and new styles, and so I think I obviously cannot predict the future, but I can for sure say that our albums will not stagnate. We will always be having new influences, new styles. We're not going to do the same album twice in a row.
Absolutely. Like, would you would you say like it's you guys are very much wanting to experiment with your sound as time goes on, because as you say, you don't want to stagnate with with every single sound of every single album. You want to like progress onto like different like sort of tempos and sorts of like ways of going about it. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, we've got this album coming out this summer, and I've already started writing the next singles that we're hopefully going to be recording after that. And just already between this first more metal or hardcore inspired album to what's going on after that, we've got, first of all, different tunings, because on this album we were doing mainly drop C and drop A sharp, and they're pretty similar, pretty widely used tunings. But after that, a lot of the stuff I've been writing is in F octave, which is what Architects uses, but a half step lower. And it's been really inspiring to me because I've never played with an octave tuning before, and so it pushes me to create really unique riffs that I've never tried to write before. So that's been pushing me. New synth styles. I've been messing around with synthesizers, and so there's some cool new synths on. There's a little bit of it on this next album, but not much compared to the singles afterwards. And just, well, that's the ice cream truck. More complex parts in general. The guitar has been interacting with itself more, the bass and the guitar are interacting more, drums a lot. It's just been, constantly new things.
Yeah.
There it is.
I just want to point out, I can hear the music from the ice cream truck.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
That thanks ice cream truck for cutting and doing that very important time. Thank you for that.
Very important.
Yeah.
On an unrelated note, I'll be right back.
If you're gonna get ice cream for that, for yourself, get something for them as well.
Yeah.
I want some ice cream. What? Hold on.
We all have ice cream. There you go. There you go.
Closer than
JT, when you come to the UK, I'll get you some ice cream, buddy. It's fine. Right. Obviously, this goes back into like the origins kind of question that we had earlier. How long have you known each other? Did you guys know each other outside of Wherever We Roam? Like, how did y'all meet?
So, I've known Alex longer than I've known Aiden, but we met under completely different circumstances. So, after Beige Couch, when we were going into the self-titled production, we already had some songs, but we wanted to start playing them live, because during the whole of Beige Couch, we were 2 guitarists and a singer, and so we really never played live. We did the occasional acoustic show, and there are a couple videos online of our first couple shows that are really just acoustic shows, because we didn't have a drummer or a bassist, so we physically could not play our songs live. So we're moving into Subtitle. We knew we wanted to get a band that would hopefully, start to push us in a different direction and everything. And so I talked with one of the local guys in the scene, like, hey, do you have any drummers that you know that we could get in contact with? And he was like, yeah, I actually just met this total loser, Aiden, the other day. And so here's his number. Heads up, he won't get any of your texts for the next 4 months. because he's at
4 months.
No, it was whatever it was a long time. But it was basically like, here's his number. He's not gonna get any of your texts for a long time because he's at a camp. And so I remember
It
texting
was a
you.
summer camp. I
Yeah,
don't
it
want
was
people to think it's some other type of camp.
Band camp?
I don't mean that in an edgy way.
Whoa!
Okay.
Whoa,
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Aiden,
That took a
Aiden,
twist.
Aiden,
It was
don't.
summer
Yeah.
camp. And so after that, we just kind of talked after that, and so he came into audition,
Mhm.
and so I completely met Aiden under the pretense of he may or may not be in the band. That was almost coming up on a year and a half, about a year and a half ago. And then Alex, I met a while before that on my school's cross country team. I had no idea he was a guitarist. I just knew that he had good taste in music because whenever we would, everybody could request music for the coach to play occasionally when we were warming up. And I always remember that Alex would put on Metallica or I feel like he put on a System of a Down song one time, and it made me really happy because I had just discovered them.
Probably.
And so we had talked just a couple of times on the cross country team. I just said hi, like here and there. And then later on during Self-Titled, we were looking for a bassist originally, which we've done too many times. And so I was starting to get desperate. So I was like, how about a guitarist that can turn into a bassist that I can like make play bass? And so I was looking around. I texted the only other bassist I knew, Kyle Eisler, and I was like, dude, do you know any bassists? Like, please. And he goes, no, but Alex Lloyd plays guitar. And I was like, what?
Hold on, what?
So originally I asked Alex to join with bass, and he was like, I don't play bass, which is fair because you don't play bass.
I said I wanted to, but I was
Yeah.
just like, dude, honestly, I really want to join a band right now. I don't play bass. I don't have a big bass.
And then we ended up moving things around. We found a separate bassist, and we just kind of moved members around a little bit. And I came up to Alex the next day at school and was like, hey, our bass position is filled. Now we need a guitarist. Do it. And so we came to an audition, and I think that was one of the fastest auditions like we've ever had. I remember he came in and he played the 2 songs or 3 songs or whatever it was.
It was like 2 songs, and then they just kind of said like, okay, bye. We'll tell you if you made it. 5 minutes later, they're like, okay, yeah, obviously you made it. We're not gonna say that.
Yeah. And then the behind the scenes of that was he like leaves. As soon as we hear the door close, we look around at each other. And we're like, yeah, all right, yeah.
Yep.
And then I texted, and I'm like, yeah, you're in. Welcome to the band, and the rest is history.
Wow.
That's
And
pretty
then
cool.
Michaela and Lynn are the 2 newest additions. Michaela, I have known her. I've actually known her the longest out of all of you.
She says otherwise.
She is a moron.
I second that. She is a moron.
Wow.
Me and Michaela
Wow.
have both been in bands in the local music scene for almost 10 years now. We've been here playing music for a long time together. And so she and I have played a couple of shows before. She denies this ever happened, but she used the same practice space as my band, and she used to come in right after us. And I always remember her as the girl that had pink hair because she was the first girl with dyed hair I'd ever met. And
Nice.
then our last singer, the singer that's on bass couch ended up quitting, and so me, Alex, and Aiden are just sitting at practice like, what do we do now? And so I called Michaela with no expectation of her even picking up, and I was like, yo, our singer's out of town. Can you come fill in for a practice? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And she was. She came and she sang like Misery Business by Paramore and our song Nerve from Beige Couch. And she's like in the bathroom for something, and the rest of us are talking, and we're like, is she in? Yeah, I think she's in. Yeah, that was really good. I think she's in. And so she comes back up, and I'm like, we pulled a sneaky on you. That was an audition. Do you want to join the band? And she was like, yeah, sure. So the rest is history.
Little sneaky audition there.
Just throwing you into the
It's
phase.
like, yeah, it's just a practice. Come on down. unbeknownst to her, audition.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then for Lynn, I've known Lynn for about a year now. I first met her because we were looking for an ensemble for Self-Titled. I don't know if you've noticed, but on Self-Titled, there's a couple of songs that have like a big vocal ensemble, and that's actually that's like 30 singers, and I just got 30 friends to record vocals and send them to me. And Lynn was actually referred to me from another friend, my friend Kathleen, and she was like, "Hey, I know this violin player who also kind of sings a little bit, and she's really good. You should text her." So I did. She ended up singing, so Lynn is on our Self-Titled, just not for playing bass. She's singing in the ensemble. And then a while later, we were looking for a bassist, and I was like, "Hey, Lynn, you don't happen to want to play bass, do you?" And she was like, "I don't, but I could learn." And that's exactly what she did. She learned bass in about 2 days and sent us everything for the audition, and we were like,
Wow.
"Oh my god, that's insane." And so she's in.
That's
Wow,
amazing.
she seems very talented.
Yeah, she's probably the most musically talented member of the band.
She's like
Wow.
violin and piano mainly. And
I mean,
I'm sure like that violin muscle number really helped with that, but yeah, it feels pretty great.
Yeah, that's really good for her, man.
That's incredible. Yeah, like having that history, I guess, with like all these members, I guess that helps the chemistry a bit, does it? I assume that like helps the chemistry with like how you're going about like making this next LP and going into like any future projects.
We used to be very we were friends obviously, but we were kind of more on a professional basis, so we would just get to practice, maybe talk for a little bit and then leave. But with the addition of Michaela, I think I can really pinpoint that it kind of started with the addition of Michaela. We started just being friends, and it could have been because it was close to the beginning of quarantine, so we really couldn't play. But we started putting our friendships kind of before the band for a little while, and so we just got really, really close. And I think now, like the band is my best friends in the whole world, and so we have like a really awesome just friend dynamic. So we don't even have to be playing a song or writing or anything. We could just be out getting pizza, and it's like just the best experience. Because I mean, they're awesome friends. I'm speaking like you guys aren't here. I mean, we're all really, really close, and we have a really awesome band dynamic. And since we all have very unique personalities, we work very well together. It's a really good dynamic.
Yeah,
I want to expand on that. You're welcome to.
Yeah.
You can talk about how awesome I am, because I totally was just gassing you guys up.
Yeah, JT's pretty good at complimenting me.
It's such a backhanded compliment.
It's like,
Yeah,
it really is.
It is.
Can
dude.
just wear anything.
Look at him. He's probably like enjoying life. And, like, I don't know. I think he wakes up like with a smile on his face. Look at him over there.
It's usually tears in my eyes.
But we have like an overall dynamic with all of us. But we also have like individual ones. You know. What are other ones? Because I know there's me and Michaela. You know, we hate each other. But like,
Really crazy.
there's Lynn's like the best member. She holds everyone together.
No, she doesn't hold everyone together. She holds us at the end of a string because because we, like for so long we've had this long complicated search of like finding the perfect basis for our band. Now that she's actually here, like even at just like the slightest thing against her, she's like, I'll leave. I'll walk out the door right now, and you'll never see me.
Oh,
like,
no.
Please don't do that. But obviously it goes like further than that. We absolutely love her. Her and I bond over like watching anime and stuff like that, and we recently watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've been talking about that with JT.
Yes.
Lynn
Avatar's
as well. But
Okay.
yeah. But like even for just a couple of months, like we all feel pretty close to her, and I'm really excited for like what the future also holds for the rest of us if we're gonna tear each other apart or hopefully grow together.
Hopefully you guys grow instead of wanting to kill each other. Let's hope it's the first. Let's hope it's the first and not the second.
Yeah, most definitely. So I got a question specifically about the self-titled album. So in regards to seatbelts, everyone, what was the inspiration like behind that?
There was absolutely zero inspiration. The inspiration was I forgot to turn off the microphones, and so between takes, we were just kind of, resting, checking up on each other, and so I had just totally forgotten to turn off the microphones, and they were still recording and still running, and I had no idea. And so I came over, and that was genuinely, that was a real interaction. That was genuinely me offering Aiden a Cliff Bar and stuttering so hard that it was barely even audible. It's sweet and salty chocolate chip. It's pretty good.
At first I was like, no, thank you, I'm good. And then I think he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And then he was like, then he did that whole stuttering thing. And I was like, sure, I'll take it. I'll just take it.
Sweet and salty. And then halfway, it's most people don't know this, but it is actually two separate recordings spliced together because it was so long. So I just took the two best sections. So there's the Cliff Bar section, and then a little bit later on, our friends Ava and Allie texted us asking if we wanted them to drop off some food, and so we called them to figure out a plan. And so you can hear it kind of switches over from the Cliff Bar monologue to Ava and Allie on the call, asking to bring us some food. And they did end up bringing Taco Bell. So if you watch our LP1 photo montage on YouTube, there's a picture of the two of them standing in the door of the garage, just chilling, and we're holding up our Taco Bell. So Seatbelts, everyone really didn't have an inspiration. I just thought it was funny, and I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious to just include this on the album? And so we did.
Did you check that from the Billie Eilish album start?
Didn't we make ours?
It was, we didn't.
I'm not saying taking it. I'm like, was that a thought process for that?
I feel like it could have been. I can't remember if I found that album before or after Self-Titled was recorded, but it definitely could have been inspiration.
Yeah.
I really didn't have that in mind though. I think it was just wouldn't it be funny if we kept this in the album?
Yeah. If you don't know, the start of whatever, I don't listen to her much, but
I do.
I do like her stuff, but one of her albums, the start is just the microphone happened to be recording, and then something silly happens in the middle, and it's a great time. That's how you start the album, and same idea.
It's a little nasty sounding. She takes out her Invisalign, and she's like,
"Oh yeah,
let me take out my Invisalign." And she takes it out, and she's like, "All right, let's get ready to go." And then it just goes straight into the album from there. I butchered it. It's actually much more entertaining than that, but.
Wow, I mean, that in itself is that's a story that I feel like it's something that you guys know, it's something that it's something that you guys have basically thought of when you were. It wasn't even intentional, as you said, it just came about, and I feel that in itself just shows how truly creative you guys can be, and how I guess how that's gonna help how that creativity is going to help you going forward a bit as well.
Yeah, and the self-titled sessions were definitely very, for lack of a better word, they were very intimate. It was very, don't make it weird.
They were very personal. They were personal.
Yeah. And we got the string lights going, and there were tartan blankets all over the place, and it was just a really cozy atmosphere. And so the self-titled sessions, whenever I think back on them, I just remember how cozy and fun they were. And there's just all kinds of stories, like the one I told you about Seatbelts Everyone, and then on the other interlude, Floodgates. We knew we wanted rain sounds on Floodgates, and so because I'm a massive audiophile, I didn't want to just find some rain samples online and pay for them, or use some free ones. I wanted to record my own because I just wanted it to be perfectly original that no one else had. And so for 3 weeks straight, every time the forecast called for rain, I would take all my recording gear out to the backyard, set up a bunch of microphones all over the place so that I could get a full stereo sound. And then the rain would just not come, or it would sprinkle for a minute and then just not rain at all. And so I finally ended up getting this one day where it just poured, and I did not put the microphones in the yard because I didn't want them to get soaking wet, and so I put them like underneath an awning in my backyard, and just got a rain recording. And I remember sitting outside like with my girlfriend drinking tea and just watching the rain and watching the recording bar slowly scrolling across the screen.
That's actually really, really awesome. I definitely
whenever I hear Floodgates, I just think back to, like hearing Floodgates puts me back in my backyard sitting with my girlfriend drinking tea. It was the coolest. I mean, there were so many cozy stories involved with Self-Titled.
I definitely admire the dedication to getting those rain sounds. The dedication is there, and I love it.
Absolutely. Alright, moving on. Obviously the first proper song within Self-Titled is Control Freak, if I remember correctly. What was the inspiration to the intro of that? Because the intro of that was quite a build up to when you started, okay, here is our sound at the time, and then obviously since then you're going to go into metalcore, the next one. But what's the inspiration for Control Freak, basically?
That was mainly just kind of, it was kind of a look back at Beige Couch, I would say, because I think it's easy to say that sounds the most like any song off the Beige Couch. And that was just a song that was written, I believe, didn't you have it written during kind of the Beige Couch era, at least part of it?
The riff for Control Freak was one of the first riffs I wrote. So I wrote the riff for Control Freak after Insanity, before Nerve. So I've had the riff for Control Freak for a long time, but it used to be slower. I actually still have the voice memo saved on one of my older computers. And it's just, it used to be way slower, and so it's just like a and so it's like a little bit slower, and I just thought it was a cool progression of notes. And then during Self-Titled, we knew we wanted it to open with a song similar to Beige Couch, so that it was a smooth transition from one album to the next. And so I was like, well, what better way to make it sound like Beige Couch than to literally use a riff from the Beige Couch sessions. And that was about the time that I was weirdly into Arctic Monkeys, and so their song, their song Brian Storm, had a really, really cool drum intro, and I remember playing Brian Storm for the first time and just getting so turned by that drum intro, like and I was like, what if I took that and made it way more complicated? So the first part of the Control Freak drums is pretty much Brian Storm, but then it goes into like a fast hi-hat, and then there's more toms and there's crash, and it's just like unnecessarily complicated. And I just took that riff, sped it up, slapped it over, and I was like, good enough. And that's basically Control Freak.
Yeah, it was fun to learn.
Oh, I know it was.
That was sarcasm.
I can just sense the pain.
Sarcasm.
I can sense the pain in your voice there, Aiden. Don't you worry about it.
We played Control Freak live a couple times, and you always looked like you were about to pass out afterwards.
All right. So, in keeping with the pattern of the Self-Titled, for the song "Break Your Heart," and you guys have name was Sydney Quinn, I believe, correct? How did all that come about?
I actually wrote that song before I ever had an actual breakup. So that was kind of just middle school me saying, I've had Break Your Heart for a long time. It's a pretty old song for me, even way before Self-Titled. That was just middle school me going, all these other songs I'm hearing are about breakups, and I haven't had a breakup, but they sound generic enough. And so I just wrote this generic breakup song, and I kind of touched it up for Self-Titled, made it like an actually decent song, And we got Sydney Quinn on. We knew we wanted to do a feature with Sydney Quinn because she and I have been friends for quite a long time, and she's just an absolutely amazing musician. She has her own EP out and a Christmas EP as well, and they're both really great. And she just has an amazing voice, and so every time I heard that song, I was like, I bet Sydney would be really awesome on this song. So we kind of talked it over a little bit, decided that it was right for the song, and I reached out to her and was like, hey, do you want to sing on Break Your Heart? And she was like, yeah, sure, that sounds cool. And so she did. That's about it.
Hey,
That's really interesting. That is.
yeah. I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly. And she's a really amazing musician, so if you guys need like some softer songs in your playlist, or if you need some good Christmas music, her solo music is really awesome.
That's
All right, definitely have to give that a listen.
Okay. So obviously continuing with the themes of inspiration, have you guys been influenced by any like pop culture with this upcoming record, or with Self-Titled or Beige Couch?
Pop culture, there are a couple of references to pop culture, but not necessarily newer pop culture. Like in the second song on the album, we haven't decided interludes, so I don't know how it would be in like the track order, but the second song is called Let's Do Crime.
Yeah.
And it's based on the story of Bonnie and Clyde.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a pop culture reference. I don't know if there's really anything past that.
I don't know. Because, like, I don't know if I would, like, input anything, well, like, for me personally, into, you know, like, any pop culture into our music or my music.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that I'm heavily into, like, you know, my own sort of pop culture. Mainly I'm just really into anime, so, like, you know, if I ever found an opportunity to do that, I absolutely would. Like, you know, maybe we'll release a merch line where it's, like, Japanese lettering of our name. But
Yeah.
I don't know where that was going.
Complex word there.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Words are hard. I don't.
What's the name of it?
English is a difficult language, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not like it's my only language.
Yeah, no, not at all.
French was a more difficult language.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, my family speaks a lot of Hispanic, and I don't really know. I've never learned it, you know.
Hispanic language.
Okay. Interesting.
For Fox News, that was a joke.
Okay, good. I like the clarification. The clarification definitely helps.
Absolutely.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I'm Hispanic. I can make jokes about Hispanic.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So with your guys' upcoming LP being more into the metalcore scene, I know JT, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but if you could, in like a deeper explanation, if you can, like what really drove you guys as a band to push more into the metalcore scene?
We all liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
right.
Listening to metalcore.
That is completely fair as another fan of metalcore. I completely understand.
And honestly, that's what we would have done for Self-Titled, but at the time of Self-Titled, our singer still really loved indie music.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had written the entirety of Self-Titled, and then she quit pretty much right before we were about to record it. And so we actually had a conversation about, should we just scrap Self-Titled and go straight to LP2, which would have then been LP1. But we ended up deciding to keep Self-Titled because it was kind of an important step in our evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we probably would have gone metalcore a lot earlier. And in fact, me and the old singer had written some metal songs together. We just didn't do it earlier because she was never really into that.
Okay.
But once she quit, we kind of had this conversation like, what is keeping us from doing metalcore anymore? What's keeping us from taking that step now?
Yeah,
And the answer was nothing, because now we are.
then you made a TikTok about it, and then got like 100,000 something views.
Yeah, that's probably where you guys know us.
Yeah,
from, is that one TikTok that blew up where we were like, we made a joke about going metalcore, and then we said indirectly said that Breaking Benjamin was an influence, and it blew up because people in the comments were like, okay, going metalcore, but then you say Breaking Benjamin. I remember back when metalcore meant Villager Escape Plan, and now you say it's Breaking Benjamin. And for every one of those comments we got, it pushed the video out to 15 more people that would then comment and send it out to 15 more people and 15 more people, and then it just kept on snowballing from there, and we had to put out 15 different videos saying, guys, we know Breaking Benjamin's not metalcore. Please don't cancel us. We haven't even started.
I feel like that's that.
Publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, and that indirectly led to our Kickstarter getting completely funded. I mean, just from TikTok, we probably got an extra $2,000 on the Kickstarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Really.
That really shows the power of social media, and I feel like that is definitely what helped you guys in the end reach that Kickstarter, and now you guys have the funding for this LP, and then now you can just go with however you want to go about it and just really just make it your own, really, in that sense.
Yeah, money for the LP and possibly some more Taco Bell.
Yes.
In my personal, learning about, how to become a successful band and all that stuff, basically the number one thing is just marketing, and, in an age of social media, that's the most important, It's kind of unfortunate, only just because of the TikTok thing, because not all of us are actually just a fan of TikTok overall, but unfortunately that's kind of the reason why we're in this room right now, to be honest. But yeah, that's kind of the main point of what we're trying to do, because when it's we have all our music, we have all our songs, but none of that matters at all if we can't, get it out and spread the word and stuff.
Yeah, that is a true point. Definite true point.
Absolutely. Alright, so with the next question, we asked you guys to come up with your top 5 bands, solo artists, and albums. So for each of you, so Aiden, do you want to start off with that?
What was the question?
So what are your top?
I was thinking about the last thing we talked about.
So what are your top 5 bands, solo artists, and albums?
Yeah. So Bring Me the Horizon and 21 Pilots are the top 2 of the top 5. Surprisingly, I would say Sleeping with Sirens is probably really up there. I didn't expect it to be, but I noticed they were my second most listened to last year, and I was like, maybe I like them more than I realized.
Okay.
And there's so many bands that I listen to, but as soon as I'm trying, Beartooth, love Beartooth.
Beartooth is a good one.
That's solid.
Yeah. That was my audition song. That's the song that I played in front of the old singer and JT, and it was Clever by Beartooth.
And then we played that song live several times.
Yes, I love that song.
Nice.
There's so many other bands, but I don't think I could choose. Maybe My Chemical Romance is a 5th.
They're good. I like them.
And then for albums and songs, well, my favorite song of all time is, I think it's called "What About Me" by Moving Pictures.
I have a favorite song. I could never do that.
Yeah, it is. That song means a lot to me. It's just a song from my childhood kind of thing. And even the lyrics resonate with me to this day. So it's just a really powerful song to me. Although I haven't heard any other songs from Moving Pictures. I didn't even know who they were. I just know that one song.
I feel like that's everyone at one point, with just one particular band.
And then I don't have any other favorite songs. I just know that is my favorite. And then favorite albums. My favorite album of all time is 21 Pilots' self-titled. And then Sempiternal from Bring Me the Horizon. And those are like my top. They make me too. I don't think I could really figure out the other three that would be there, but yeah, probably that's the spirit from Bring Me the Horizon as well. Just a lot of Bring Me the Horizon.
A lot of Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, mainly I'm Bring Me the Horizon and 21 Pilots. I don't listen to 21 Pilots anymore for some reason. I just forgot, I guess. But I still keep them. I still keep them as like a core part of like what inspired me in the start, and I know that their self-titled is probably going to be my favorite album forever. So
Okay.
yeah, so I do still have that attachment to them, but I may not listen to them anymore. At
Absolutely.
least as much as I did before. I play a song every now and then. Yeah, that's me.
So for me, obviously I already mentioned it before. Top three definitely Metallica, Gojira, and Slipknot, just because those are the ones I get like really into. Because I don't really branch out much, honestly. Whenever I am listening to music, I already said that, but like I just meant more in like a genre sense. Like it's really hard for me to listen to new bands or new music, and I have no idea why. I have no valid excuse for why I don't. That's just me. I don't know why. But those are ones I definitely hyper fixated on, and then like the other two, are really hard for me to figure out, just because there have been some bands I have definitely hyper fixated on at some points that like I would have definitely called my favorite band, but nowadays I just don't listen to them much, if at all, anymore. Some of those bands might include like Architects. I was really big into them. I still really like them. I just don't listen to them as much anymore. Slayer. I used to be like a huge Slayer fan. I still am. I just don't listen to them as much anymore. I've kind of gotten, I've been through all their music plenty of times. I guess that might be it, to be completely honest. There's probably other bands that I'm getting into, or like have gotten into that I'm just not remembering. But those are probably my top 5 bands. What was it? Songs and albums.
So yeah, it was songs. It was originally solo artists, but we can do songs and albums. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know many solo artists, honestly. I'll do songs and albums then. I'll do albums first because that'll be easier for me. I'd say probably. I know 2 of my favorite albums are both from Gojira. It is From Mars to Sirius, and then Magma, which is their most recent album. They're coming out with a new one, but it's not that one, obviously. Anyway, yeah, From Mars to Sirius. That album just really resonates with me because it's a concept album kind of based around like war with your inner self and eventually finding inner peace, but it also kind of interjects that with a kind of a sly double entendre of the world is dying and we need to do something about it. So obviously I would hope that resonates with all of us, you know. So it's stuff like that. Magma was born out of the Duplantier brothers' mothers dying during the production of that album. That is Mario Duplantier and Joe Duplantier, who are both the Mario is the drummer and then Joe is the singer and guitarist. So they're kind of like the center of the band. And then, a lot of that album is about letting go and dealing with loss and grief and pain and stuff like that. It was also kind of the album that got me into them at the time. Plus, it also just sounds amazing. I was really into Injustice for All by Metallica. At one point in my life, that was definitely my favorite album of all time. No really specific emotional reason for that. I just really liked that album for a lot of reasons. A lot of great bangers on that song. Not song, album. Oh my god. Architects Holy Hell used to not resonate with me a lot, but I just really liked that album at a point. It was very emotional and kind of inspirational in that sense because you can really feel the emotion behind everything going into the album. So I really like that. And that's probably the most I can say about albums, honestly. Like, there's a ton of other that I absolutely love, but just aren't really sticking out to me much right now. As far as songs, I'm really surprised that he was able to have a favorite song because my favorite song changes from hour to hour.
Yeah.
Mood.
Yeah, same.
That's
same.
a mood.
Yeah, it's Jesus. I honestly, I've definitely easily had like dozens and dozens and dozens of like I would say like top 5 songs because even throughout my life I've always known that like I can never have a favorite song, you know. I feel like I would just be wasting your time if I tried to go through that. So I'm just I like a lot of songs, I guess.
What's your
That's-
favorite song right now?
My favorite song right now. See, that's okay. Meshuggah. I'm getting really heavily into Meshuggah right now, and I'm finding a lot of songs I absolutely love from them. Their album Obzen is an absolute masterpiece, like front to back. I just absolutely love. But right now, there's a song called "The Devil's Name Is Surveillance," or maybe "The Demon's Name Is Surveillance." One of those. That one's really sick. Nothing else much to say about that. You know, you were to say like play a song right now, that's probably what I would play.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair.
So as far as artists go, I'm just gonna name my current favorite artists because I definitely could not name my top 5 favorite artists like ever.
Mhm.
I couldn't do it. I love too many artists so much.
That's a mood.
That's fair.
More recently, I've been listening to a lot of As Everything Unfolds, which is a UK-based female-fronted metalcore band.
Mhm.
They're a big writing inspiration on me. A lot of Ice Nine Kills, a lot of Happy Hour, a lot of Architects,
Mhm.
and a lot of Novelists. They're coming out with some good stuff lately.
Right.
I realized none of us said Forever
Oh.
Inspirations to yourselves, man.
It would make sense that was one of my favorite bands because I'm in it, wouldn't it?
That would make sense. It would make sense. Yeah.
Well, it's not my favorite, but it could be one of my top favorites. I mean, I feel like that's not pretentious. I'm in the band.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm a lot more into this band than other ones because I'm literally in the band.
I mean, it made sense.
The shape of this next album, like I genuinely actually love the songs, and I'm super duper excited to actually have these songs like produced because I honestly feel like I would add a few of them to my main playlist because like I want to listen to these songs over and over again because that's like I think they're good songs. Just aside from being like, yeah, that's my band, haha. Like I really like the song.
Exactly.
I was actually just texting the group chat yesterday because I was practicing the songs so I can get ready for recording and stuff, and I was just I just had a smile on my face because I was like, these are so good.
nice.
Yeah, I'm excited with this next album. Still not one of my top 5 current favorite artists, though. No, I don't know. I really love these songs, but I've just been, I didn't want to say us. Yeah,
That's fair.
That's...
Did I get to 5?
Dude, I have no idea.
I said,
yes.
Ice Nine Kills, As Everything Unfolds, Happy Hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still have one more. And Novelists.
Novelist.
Listening to a lot of novelists lately. Favorite albums, I think I can say, and this is going to be a little sacrilegious because most of them are not going to be metalcore. Hear me out.
That's fine.
Metalcore albums, I love metalcore, but I will say most metalcore albums have 1 or 2 or 3 great songs, and the rest of them are filler at best.
I've noticed.
There are some metalcore albums that are fantastic front to back, but
that's the spirit.
I will say a vast majority of it is just like 1 or 2 to 3 great songs, and the rest is filler. So that's my main reason. I will say I like metalcore a lot more in general, but that's beside the point. One of my all-time favorite albums is Feel Something by Movements. That album is like truly a masterpiece front to back. Every song on that album is like the album centers around mental health, and so every song on the album is just like deeply personal to me. And that album still to this day, I've been listening to that album consistently since it came out, and it's just I haven't gotten sick of it. It's just a truly amazing masterpiece of an album front to back. There's not a single bad song on it, and for that reason, Feel Something by Movements is like my number 1 album. It's definitely not metalcore. It's not even really hardcore. It's I don't even know what to call it. It's like
Somewhere
alt
in
rock
between.
with some screaming. Yeah, it's just really groovy songs. The guitars are mostly just like light overdrive to clean, and they're doing really intricate chord work. But the bass is really thick and growly and distorted. Their drummer is really phenomenal. He does like really intricate grooves and everything. And their singer, Patrick Miranda, goes from cleans to screams like nothing. They're just amazing. So yeah, Feel Something by Movements is my top. And then for the other four, the Wonder Years, their album No Closer to Heaven is really amazing. Front to back as well. There's like 1 or 2 songs on there that I don't love quite as much, but I still love them. So No Closer to Heaven by the Wonder Years. Holy Hell by Architects. That's probably one of the only metalcore albums that I absolutely love front to back. What else?
Personally, I think That's the Spirit. I already said this to Alex, but That's the Spirit from Bring Me the Horizon is, in my opinion, a front to back amazing metalcore album.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single song on there I don't like.
See, I like That's the Spirit, but I don't feel like it's metalcore. It just doesn't.
It's classified as metalcore.
I just don't. I don't feel like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not metalcore. Like, I personally love Bring Me the Horizon, and That's the Spirit. It's not. It's at least in my opinion, it's not metalcore.
Yeah, like I love it, but it's probably not metalcore. This one's a little controversial, but Palms by Thrice. And among Thrice fans, it consistently ranks as like their worst album. But coming from a big Thrice fan, Palms was a very experimental album, and I think that it worked really well and it's really amazing. So I will say Palms by Thrice, but the Thrice fans in the audience are probably like cringing at me saying that. But I listen to other Thrice stuff. Like, I love other music by Thrice. I just thought that Palms was a really awesome divergence from their style. So we've got Feel Something, No Closer to Heaven, Holy Hell, Palms, and Nothing More's self-titled. I really love Nothing More's self-titled album. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, and those were interesting lists because you all had very similar but yet very different like picks there, because you all have that inspiration for yourself, and that to me is very interesting because it just shows that you guys have been your own feels into like the music that you guys are creating, and I feel like that's definitely something that's gonna that definitely probably helps you, I bet, in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that variety is definitely nice because we all bring something. Like, we're all going for the same thing, but we all bring something different to the table, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. You know, a little sidetrack here. You know, JT, I've heard you bring up the Wonder Years quite a few times. Personally, I don't really listen to them, but back in 2015, I went to I went to Warped Tour in San Diego, California, and they played. I think it was like Journey's Left Foot Stage, and didn't know any of their songs. Never listened to them, but it was a really good time. Like, I definitely enjoyed listening to them live. Like, it was phenomenal.
Yeah. Their live performances are like next level. Their singer, one of their most iconic shows was to support their I can't remember. I think it was their album The Upsides. It was either The Upsides or Suburbia I've Given You All. But they played it out of a garage, and their singer like headbanged so hard that he like hit his forehead on his microphone and like completely sliced open his forehead. And then they played the rest of the hour-long show, and his face is just like covered in blood. They go hard on their live shows. Their live shows are absolutely next level.
They definitely do. That I remember that mosh pit very vividly.
Oh yeah, they're
very vividly.
they're like a light pop punk band, and they're not even heavy pop punk.
No,
Their mosh pits,
they're
their
insane.
energy is so hard that they have like some of the hardest mosh pits at Warped, and they're not even that heavy of a band.
Yeah, they're not. Like, there was so many like heavier bands I went there to see. Like first like Attila and Asking Alexandria. Like definitely like much heavier bands. And like the Wonder Years, their mosh pits were still up in competition with the rest of them. It was insane.
Oh yeah, the Wonder Years are crazy, and they were actually my favorite band for many years. I grew up on the Wonder Years, and I could name you probably every song from every one of their albums. They're just amazing.
That's a true fan.
Yeah.
All
And they have a lot of music.
Yeah. All right, so getting back on track here a little bit. So did you guys face any challenges in the making of your self-titled album at all?
Oh, yeah.
To say we face challenges is an understatement.
Yeah.
Would you guys be comfortable elaborating on anything at all?
Yeah, we can just take turns telling struggle stories.
I know COVID just made everything so much more complicated just because
Yeah.
we had to record in a garage. And that was like completely new. We had like a whole weird like social distance setup that was going on. That's my little thing.
They were just like, it just kind of seemed like thing after thing. At one point we did start production and things kind of seemed all right. And then I think it was like it was like a recording issue with the drums, and we had already gotten into like recording my guitar parts and such. And then at that point we were just okay, we actually just cannot use this. We have to start from scratch. And we're like, we gotta start all over again. So we eventually did that, and that was all right. Somewhere in between, wherever, I don't remember the exact timeline, but it's like we lost our lead singer, and then our bassist also quit. So that was kind of a mess.
Twice.
Yeah, exactly. So that all happens. Obviously, the recording for all that. Eventually, we did get a new bassist within the realm of like production, and then eventually she left as well. And
we record her parts.
Yeah, we had already recorded her like vocal parts, and I think we still have bass like just for you. So
yeah,
but we essentially kind of had to reverse that because she's not in the band anymore. We're not gonna have her on the album. Yeah, that's what I can remember at least.
We had a vocal ensemble that we were supposed to have, like I talked about before, and there was a lot of struggles with that. That was a problem all on its own. So we actually were starting production on the album before COVID was a problem, and so we had the first recording session was with the ensemble. We actually recorded with the ensemble, supposedly. I had about 15 singers that were supposed to show up, and they all, I confirmed with them the day before, like, yeah, you're sure you can come record it with the ensemble tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, awesome. So the day of recording comes, 2 people show up.
Oh, no.
And so Michaela was one of those 2 people. And so she would have appeared on, that was before she joined as a singer. So we still had our old singer at that time. Michaela was just part of the ensemble. So we've had 2 members join that were part of the ensemble before they were an official member.
Really?
Wow.
Anyway, so I called up a bunch of my neighbors and friends, like, hey, can you come learn these songs in the next 5 minutes and come record? And we tried it. It just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next time I was like, okay, I'll schedule 3 times as many singers. And that way at the same time, the same thing happens, we'll still have more or less enough people. And so I got like 40-ish singers scheduled to come and made them confirm with like a mini contract that I made in Google Drive. Like, hey, yes, I am going to this session. And then COVID hit, and having 40 singers in one room is probably not the smartest idea.
No.
So I ended up trying to get individual recordings and splicing them together. I had 90 people on the list. There was a list of 90 singers.
Jesus.
Of those 90 people, 3 of the singers did it by the deadline that I set,
Wow.
which is hard to make an ensemble out of 3 people.
Yeah.
And so then the next several weeks, I was just like texting them daily, like, hey, the deadline was yesterday. The deadline was a week ago. The deadline was 2 months ago. A vast majority of them just stopped responding to me. I'm pretty sure most of them blocked me.
Awesome.
And which sucks because a lot of them were like old friends. But then I ended up getting probably somewhere between 20 to 30 people, and just getting mostly, some of them had some professional recording gear, but a vast majority of it was just iPhone recordings. And so then I had to, after all the struggle with getting the recordings, I had to take, between the couple songs, I had to take about 70 different recordings and splice them together from iPhone recordings to make them sound like a professionally recorded ensemble. That was a struggle.
Man.
But it worked out. I mean, if you listen to the album, the ensemble's there and it sounds really tight.
It does. It sounds very, very good.
And they didn't record to a metronome, so I had to like line them up in time just by guessing where their count was. It was weird, but it was good.
Man, that's
So we're good in the end.
yeah, those are definitely some challenges.
Yeah.
And then for Machine, we made a music video.
Yeah, we did a music video for Machine, and that, oh my god, that's a story for another day. I could talk about that for hours.
I actually don't want to talk about it too much. Like, I'm just like, it's so annoying.
I'll just say it's a shock that we got a music video out of that session.
Yeah.
I do remember you
fair
guys
enough.
telling me about that, like prior to this interview on like I think it was the call. I think it was like the first time I actually met Aiden and Alex, and
Yeah.
I remember that whole thing being, just listening to it, always just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You guys went
Yeah.
through a lot for that video, but I feel like it turned out really well, and I enjoy it, and I think a few others do as well.
I got swarmed by bees. You guys were not there for that.
I mean, I wasn't even there for the music video, technically. I was in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Like, if you want to hear more about it, we pretty sure we talked about it on with the What's Your Random podcast.
Yes.
Like, I'm pretty sure we went delved through the whole story. So like, if you're curious, definitely check that out because we also did that.
Okay.
After finishing, you listen to this, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, listen to this whole thing.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Alright, so obviously we're gonna deviate slightly onto a different topic. Do any of you play video games? Like, what are your favorite games to play outside to chill?
I love video games. I've played, I mean, pretty much a lot of the usual GTA. I played some Call of Duty, but not that much. It was never like my favorite thing. And right now I just play like I play like a lot more obscure stuff than before. I remember when I was younger, I was like, oh, I wanted a brand new game. Now I play like this game, I just crash a car into a wall like 3 times.
Oh, okay.
I just like the mindless games at this point that I have on one screen. On my second, I just watch YouTube, and that's like that's my time waster thing.
Yeah. Kind of the same for me as far as like the popular ones. Obviously, like I used to play a lot of Call of Duty and GTA and stuff. Definitely recently, I've played a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2. That is quite possibly my favorite game of all time.
Really?
Next to like,
It's really good.
yeah. But like I finished my second playthrough of that. My first playthrough, I'm trying to get to 100% in that game, like 100% completion, which is near impossible. But I'm trying, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like. Yeah, I absolutely love that game. I'll put that second to Skyrim in that sense because I've also played a crap ton of Skyrim. Like I got the special edition for like the new consoles and like you know, had all the DLC and everything, and I played the ever living heck out of that. So
You can swear if you want, I don't mind.
Yeah.
And then like recently, like also you said, I also played some rather obscure games. Not completely obscure, but more just not obviously popular. Like for example, a few weeks ago, I played through a small indie game called What Remains of Edith Finch, which is kind of like a mystery sort of game. It's like a 4 or 5 hour long journey, but it was an absolutely incredible journey at that, and it had like a lesson at the end and everything. So I'm starting to get more into those indie game things. I'm playing through this one game called Spiritfarer, which is apparently a game that just destroys people on an emotional level.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because you essentially have to take care of these spirits until they are ready to move on to the afterlife. And in the process, you attach to these things or these spirits because they're characters and they have like emotions and feelings and wants and needs, and you're supposed to cater to them and become their friends and stuff. And then eventually you have to let them go. So that sucks. I haven't gotten to that yet, but it's like these kind of more obscure things that like have started to draw me in a bit more that are not obviously just shooty fun video game stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like just kind of like Alex, I kind of started off with like the fun, like shooty whatever, and then like later just started playing games that are like unique and like just different. Yeah.
Because those are kind of forms of art in their own,
Mm-hmm.
Like the more popular games are more just so you have like a fun time, which is fine. Obviously, I'm not like dissing those games, but it's the fact that you can make art out of something that you just play is like that's something that's definitely probably intrigued us in recent times.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think JT is a lame loser poopy head who doesn't play video games.
JT plays Jackbox.
He plays the last video game that I really got into was Geometry Dash, and I will say I was a god at Geometry Dash.
So was I at a point.
Wow, that's a throwback.
That is
wow.
that is
Geometry Dash.
Damn, dude.
Sixth grade.
I
Damn.
heard someone talking about it at school the other day. I heard some kid walk by and I was like, wow, I must be old.
This still exists.
Yeah.
No, but like I just am so invested in my music things that I don't watch TV or play video games or anything because the little free time I get is music. Like in one form or another, practicing or writing or something.
That's fair.
But that's
Yeah. And Minecraft, obviously. I just feel like that's a given at a point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I a lot of Minecraft every once in a while, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like an indie game called Transistor. I really
Yes.
love Transistor.
Never
Don't know what that is.
It's an interesting game. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's side-scrolling, isn't it, JT? It's a side-scrolling adventure game, isn't it? Something similar.
I believe so. I remember it being like really, really interesting, and the storyline is really cool. And the final boss is like ridiculously hard, but I got it eventually. It was good. It was a fun game.
Okay then.
I for one, I've played a lot of Skyrim. I have at least 1,000 hours invested in that game.
Yeah, I definitely have a few hundred at least. So.
I love that game so much.
Yeah. Like.
So this next question is aimed towards Alex and JT mainly. What kind of like guitars do you guys play? Like brand stuff.
My answer is pretty easy, just because I only have one guitar brand at the moment, I suppose, which is ESP, or not. It's not ESP. It's ESP LTD, which is like the the cheaper version, obviously, like the ones that aren't taking so much care into. So like I started guitar off this really cheap classical guitar that my dad just happened to have lying around, and eventually I was like, I really want an electric guitar, so I was looking around the internet. For a while, I was really interested in this starter Ibanez guitar, and I was like, I had my heart set on that. But then the guitar center that was closest to us just didn't have it in stock anymore. But I was so desperate to have an electric guitar at the point, like I had like a date that I was going to go to Guitar Center, and the fact that they didn't have it, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get something else then, because I want one. I want one really bad. And I saw the ESP LTD M10, which is like the cheapest, most base model ESP you can possibly get. But I guess I kind of liked it, so then I got it. And I was a really big fan of Metallica at the time, but I didn't even know Metallica played ESP guitars until after I bought the guitar. So I was like, sweet, that's a cool bonus, because I was really into them at the time. And yeah, I absolutely love that guitar. Even nowadays, like it played pretty great, and it sounded all right for what it was. But over the years, I've not over the years really, but in recent times I've upgraded a bit. I changed out the pickups, some of the hardware, the tuners and stuff. It still feels great to play, but it also sounds a lot better and just looks a lot better in my opinion. So that's kind of my Frankenstein guitar, and it's it's really personal to me because it's like it's mine. You know, I did this because it started as a very basic thing and turned it into what I wanted, and then eventually, I really love ESP guitar, so I was definitely looking to get another one, and one with the Floyd Rose was definitely one that I absolutely wanted. I absolutely needed a Floyd Rose for my next guitar, and at the time I was also getting into Slayer, and I saw that the guitarist after Jeff Hanneman had passed away, Gary Holtz, he had played a Les Paul style with a Floyd Rose, and that was just the craziest idea to me. I was like, Les Pauls cannot Floyd Rose. They're like the classic, Gibson thing. It doesn't work. And eventually I grew to absolutely love it. I just liked how unique it was. And I was really only looking into other guitars that weren't Les Paul styles, like just mainly like the Super Strat style that happen to have a Floyd Rose. I was looking at some ESPs, some Jacksons, some Schecters. How do you say Schecter. Okay, I have never pronounced that correctly. Anyway, and then one day I would just happen to be scrolling through the store closest to me's inventory, and a used ESP EC401 Floyd Rose, which is Eclipse 401 Floyd Rose, obviously, just happened to pop up used, and they don't even make them anymore or like sell them. Like actually, it's just whatever's out is out right now. And it was perfectly within my price range. It was a Les Paul style with a Floyd Rose. I did about 5 minutes of research on it just to make sure there wasn't any great problems with it, and then I bought it immediately. And I absolutely love that guitar. It is a very, very quality guitar. I got it for about half the price of what it originally is for like a market sale price. So I definitely got a steal out of that, and it is a very, very quality guitar. So yeah, that's the extent of that. I also bought an acoustic recently, but that was just a very basic Fender acoustic because I just needed any acoustic guitar at all, or an acoustic electric that I could at least like maybe gig with every once in a while. But I mean, it's I'm not like attached to it or anything. It's just it's an acoustic that I use sometimes.
Okay, GT.
I don't really have specific brand loyalty, really. I mean, if there's any representatives looking for an endorsement deal, like
Fender, sign these guys, please.
I could develop a brand loyalty.
Yeah.
But I've back during Self-Titled and Beige Couch and that whole era of me as a guitarist, I mainly just used standard 6-string guitars, and so I actually built a couple with my dad, and so I mostly just stuck to my own guitars. So like this guitar right here, me and my dad built out of a block of wood. We just cut it out, sanded it down, finished it, put all the parts in. I mean, like this is a completely from scratch guitar. So this used to be my big main guitar, and I would kind of just play that for everything. So that's the guitar that I recorded Beige Couch with. I recorded Self-Titled, like all of my guitar on Self-Titled is that guitar. Alex, you split your time between your two LTDs.
Yeah.
And then all of my guitars on that guitar. But then for our more recent stuff, we've been using drop tunings, and so I got a baritone guitar from Jericho.
It's not that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's the guitar that I do all my live streams with. And I've been using that for all the recording and everything. It's baritone. I've been looking for another baritone guitar, but right now that Jericho is my baritone, and it is a sweet, sweet guitar. I mean, it plays so smoothly. It's pretty awesome.
I forgot to mention a small sidetrack in my guitar journey. I actually at one point owned in surprise ESP 8-string, because at the time I just really, really wanted an 8-string. I was kind of starting to get into Meshuggah, but I wasn't as big into them as I was at the time. Wait, I probably mixed that up. Anyway, just forget that. Yeah, I ended up buying a used ESP 8-string, and it was nice, but I also didn't realize how much of an absolute beast the 8-string is. Like, it truly is honestly just kind of a different instrument. It's not just a guitar that happens to have 2 extra strings on it. Like,
it's a gen stick.
Yeah, it's a gen stick, but what's funny is that it also had standard scale length. So it would go down to like the low F sharp, which is almost near the tuning of a bass, and it had a guitar scale length. So it was honestly not the best to play. Like I made it work eventually, but it wasn't the best. It was also more of a cheaper model, but yeah, 8 strings are an absolute beast, and I even I was at Guitar Center the other day where I picked up an electric drum kit, but they happened to have another used 8 string there, and I was like, it would be fun if I just tried it out again just to see, like I'm getting more into Meshuggah, I would definitely love to have another 8 string if possible, and like immediately I was like, oh no, can't do this, no, I'm not doing 8 string. It's just so different. It just feels too different, and it's a bit. You really got to devote your time and effort into like really learning and like how to play an 8 string properly, I suppose. So I eventually ended up just returning it because I still have to receive it. It was within the return period. So
Like,
I've noticed that
get my money's
guitar
worth. It's fine.
Whenever I go back to my standard scale guitars, I have to adjust back to playing in standard. Like I've developed my own style playing in a baritone. That playing my standard scale guitars it feels weird.
And Aiden, to make you feel included, what kind of drums do you play?
Well, drums are just like guitars, really expensive. However, I find my way around things. So my entire drum set, it's a 6-piece by PDP, which is by DW, which is Drum Workshop, and the whole entire thing with stock heads and everything on it was $500, and I got the best deal. That was half off, and it's already $1,000 for drum set is already pretty cheap. So I got a ridiculous deal because I just looked for it, and I pretty much that just gave me like a loyalty to PDP, just because I've noticed that everything PDP does, which is owned by DW, it's basically DW, just the cheaper brand that they use. And that like I've just noticed that like everything they make is still just as high quality as regular DW stuff, just like way cheaper. And so I do have a brand loyalty, and that would be to PDP. And I also have a brand loyalty to Milo, so the cymbal brand. So I've noticed with Zildjians, I've never really liked them that much. JT has a Zildjian cymbal on the drum kit we used to record, and I love that one. But that's the only one I've noticed that I like. And I've never been just all over the board, just satisfied with a cymbal brand, except for Milo. Pretty much everything Milo does, I love. So I just figured, yeah, I'll get that, and I get exclusively the classic customs. No, the
custom darks.
Yeah, classic custom darks. It's there's the classic customs, and then there's the dark variant, and the dark variant it's a little bit lower in pitch, and also literally black.
Darker.
Yeah. And I think they look sick, and I think they sound sick, and so I love them. And they're also mid-range and like considered, so they're not like the highest end cymbals in the world, but also I don't need the highest end cymbals in the world. At that point, it's just differences that I feel like don't matter to me, at least. As long as it's not like the super budget stuff, because when it comes to cymbals, the budget stuff changes a lot. It makes it really bad sounding. But when it comes to drums themselves, the budget stuff sounds pretty much the same. So budget drums, mid-range cymbals, that's the way I go.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool because, like guitars, you have to do with like different tunings of each part of the drum kit. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's obviously different ways of experimenting with different like tunings and stuff, and I bet that really does help.
Yeah. Drum heads are another thing. However, I don't have enough experience with drum heads to have like a brand that I like.
I use Aquarian.
Yeah, he uses Aquarian. I use PDP stock heads, but once those break, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I know that Remo makes black ones, and I have to find out which type, because they only have a couple that they make in black as well. So I have to find out which of those that sound good. And then I'm going to have all black heads, all black cymbals, and an all white drum set. And it's going to be the coolest thing. Although I cannot afford it at the moment. So that is something for the future.
Well, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, I will say. So, JT, in your, or anybody actually, or if this is basically a question, just a generic question. What's the hardest part about being a vocalist, like with regards to like doing like backups or main vocals? Like, what's the most difficult part you find?
Most difficult part with backup vocals is coordinating the guitar and the vocals, because especially with our newer music, the guitar is very intricate and very complicated, and so it's hard to balance the vocals and the guitar. But I've been managing.
That's pretty cool. Go on.
So like you're saying how intricate the guitar is and trying to line that up with the vocals. Has there been like a learning curve for you on that front?
Yes and no. I've always been a singing guitarist. Growing up, I've been in and out of bands for almost 10 years, and I've always sung and played guitar. It just used to be singing Green Day songs and playing guitar. And now it's singing Architects kind of songs, like riffs, and trying to sing, which is a lot harder, as you would imagine. So I've gone from trying to play chords and singing, which is easy for me because I've been doing it for a while, to playing like intricate riffs and singing more intricate vocal parts.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. That's an interesting point, because like you've been doing this for a while, and then you've obviously brought in like new members, and you basically just like seen the whole arc of from everywhere all the way through, and I feel like that is something that is pretty cool as well. So, props to you, man, honestly, for that.
Thank you.
Like, and yeah, like. That's really all the questions I have. I think Zach has the next one as well.
Yeah. So I have a little extra question for all three of you, if you don't mind answering. In the past, a little over an hour and a half we've been here. We've gotten, to know each other semi-decently, sort of, kind of. I personally think you guys are a wonderful group.
Thank you.
So let's hypothetical situation here.
Oh no, here we go. I just
let's say
can I just say I don't know what he's gonna ask. He literally said to me, "Can I ask him a random question at the end?"
I'm so like,
he's like, this could be the worst thing he's ever said.
this could cancel the entire thing and just stay in.
Yeah. So let's say completely hypothetical situation here. Say Adam and I were a group of worms. Would you still want to interact with us?
No.
Wow.
I typically don't interact with worms, but I would make an exception.
Hey, that's a win.
I don't know. I'd probably just kind of cut him in half and see what happens.
That's a little dark, but okay.
You're like, oh, that's cool, and then you move on.
I would. Well, the thing is, this is my actual legit answer.
So, ignorance, murder, tolerance.
Yes. That's what that is.
I love this. This is great.
What I would actually do would be, I would probably. Well, there are two scenarios. One, I'd find you in the dirt, in which case I would look at you, probably pick you up and hold you in my hand for a little bit, and then just watch, and then put you back.
And the very aggressive putting them back. You're like,
and then put them back.
Oh god.
And the other scenario is I would find you on a sidewalk or a road, on concrete. And if you've ever noticed, after it rains, they can go on the concrete stuff, and then they make it 3 feet, and then they dry out. And die. And so I would pick you guys up and I would put you in the dirt. That's what I find.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow,
Safety
that
either
took
way.
a more wholesome route than I thought it was going.
You're basically, if you're in the dirt, I'll smush you up. But if you're dying, I'll save your life.
That's fair. I guess that's admirable
That
in a
is
sense.
admirable, I must say. Jesus.
So do you guys have any questions for Adam and I at all?
No, I think we're about good, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do have to start getting ready to go in just a little
Yeah,
bit,
that's-
so I
that-
can't stay.
That's totally fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have one question. Adam, do you use taxis?
Yeah, we use taxis here.
What about Uber? Is Uber a thing?
Uber is a thing, but it's been banned in London.
It's been banned?
Yeah,
Wow.
they banned it in London.
Whoa. I did not know that.
Okay.
Well then,
Well,
there you go.
it was definitely lovely having you guys on. Definitely loved talking to you guys and learning a little bit more about you guys individually in the band.
Indeed. I will say thank you guys so much for being a part of this. This was an awesome experience. I really hope we get to do this again. Maybe.
Like it's absolutely an honor to be I guess wanted for stuff like this. So
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
after your LP has been
definitely.
released. Maybe after your LP has
Yeah.
been released, we need to do like a post-release interview. That'd
Yeah,
be pretty cool.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's definitely an experience for Adam and I. It's really a great experience being able to talk with a legitimate band and hearing your guys' side of everything that not many people really get to hear.
Like it, as I said, absolute honor. And we've put your Twitter and your TikTok on the overlay of our stream, so anybody who is watching or is watching the pre-recording, definitely go check out Forever Roam on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I'm not really put. I forgot to put their Instagram. I do apologize, but it's the same as their Twitter name, so it's all good.
Yeah. Definitely check them out on Spotify as well. They got some bangers.
Yes, Control Freak, never best. Just so.
More bangers than fun.
Yes.
More bangers incoming.
More bangers.
Bang
Bangers with more
banger.
bangers.
Bangers with more bangers. I like it.
No mash though, just the bangers.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was contemplating on making that joke, but you took it from me. Took it from me.
Good God. But yeah,
Alright, well it was good talking with you guys.
yes,
Yep.
thank you so much, guys. Anyway,
Absolutely.
that's going to be the end of the podcast. Thank you to Forever Roam, Alex, Aiden, and JT. Thank you to my co-host Zach for being the awesome co-host that he always is. We will be back 2 weeks from now. I'm not sure what the date is from 2 weeks from now. What is it? It is the 4th of April. We will be back with another episode of Milo's Music Podcast. This episode will hopefully go up on Spotify because I've actually been recording this entire thing as well as streaming it, so this is pretty good. Next week on the 28th, it will be live on Spotify, hopefully. Once we figure that out. And yeah, overall, thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you all another time. Bye, everybody.
Cool. Thank you for having us. Have a good one.
Bye.
I salute.
As you do.
All right.